We're going to look at section 10.3, Construcciones con se. So in lección 7, we learned how to use the se reflexivo, the third person reflexive pronoun. Por ejemplo, él se despierta, or ellos se visten, ella se baña. But se actually has 10 different uses in the Spanish language. It can be used to form constructions in which the person performing is not expressed or the action is sort of de-emphasized in some way. So first we're going to look at impersonal constructions with se. In Spanish, verbs that are not reflexive can be used with se to form impersonal constructions. It essentially takes out the person from what you're saying, right? The agent, it's called, the agent in linguistics being the person who's doing the action, is removed. We do this all the time in English. For example, we say Spanish is spoken in Costa Rica. We're not really talking about who's doing the speaking. And for Spanish, they use the impersonal se. Se habla español en Costa Rica. Or se puede leer en la sala de espera. You can read in the waiting room. Or like one, by you, kind of mean one can read in the waiting room. Or se hacen operaciones aquí. They perform operations here. And by they don't really mean any particular they. We do this all the time in English. They say whatever. Se dice, okay? O se hacen operaciones. Another one, se necesitan medicinas enseguida. They need medicine right away. It's like a general proverbial they that really isn't defined. So note that the third person singular verb is used with singular nouns, and the third person plural form is used with plural nouns. Se vende ropa, or se venden camisas, as you just saw here. Se necesitan medicinas, y se hacen operaciones. These two match. But when it's singular, the verb is singular. Se habla español, or se puede leer. You often see the impersonal se in signs, advertisements, and directions and things. Por ejemplo, se prohíbe nadar. It is not prohibited, or rather, it is prohibited to swim. No se fuma. Can't smoke. Or propiedad privada. Se prohíbe traspasar. It's prohibited. What do we say? Private property, no trespassing. One cannot trespass here. Of course, there's also the se accidental, which is a unique thing to Spanish, and it sort of removes the blame from the speaker when accidents or unplanned events happen. ¿Te pusiste un suéter anoche? No, mamá, se me olvidó. Sort of like, it forgot itself unto me, sort of is how you think of it. Se also describes, as I said, accidental or unplanned events. And in this construction, the person who performs the action is de-emphasized, implying that the accident or unplanned event is not his or her direct responsibility. And the construction looks like this. First, it begins with se. We have an indirect object pronoun according to whom the action is being done or something. El verbo, and then, of course, the subject of the sentence. Like, for example, se me cayó la pluma. It's kind of like the pen fell itself unto me. It sort of means I dropped the pen. But what you're doing is eschewing the responsibility and throwing all of the responsibility onto the pen, which is why the subject and the verb match. In English, we think I dropped, but it's not necessarily you dropping. It's really the pen dropped itself kind of unto me. And as I said, it's sort of to de-emphasize or denote that it's really not your responsibility, the unplanned action. So as I said, what would normally be the direct object of the sentence becomes a subject and agrees with the verb, not the indirect object pronoun. For example, se me quedó la receta. Like I kept the receta. Or se nos olvidaron las pastillas. We forgot the pills. So this is the person who's really doing the action, and the verb and the subject match, right? Las botellas rompieron. Se me rompieron las botellas. Or se me perdieron las llaves. The keys lost themselves unto me, is essentially what you're saying. And these verbs are the most frequently used with se to describe planned, rather unplanned or accidental events. Caer, to fall or to drop. Dañar, to damage or to break down. Olvidar, to forget. Perder, to lose. There's an E to IE stem changer in the present tense. Quedar, to be left behind, romper, to break. Por ejemplo, se me perdió el teléfono de la farmacia. I lost the pharmacy's phone. You notice we translate it to I lost, but in Spanish they really almost always use se me perdió. And perdió matches with el teléfono. And as I said, it's sort of to eschew the responsibility. It really wasn't you who lost it, even though it was. But it sort of just sounds softer in a way. Se me perdió instead of lo perdí. Se nos olvidaron los pasajes. We forgot the tickets. Or rather, the tickets forgot themselves unto us. No? Se nos olvidaron los pasajes. Do know also that while Spanish has a verb for to fall, there really is no direct translation for to drop. They might say dejar caer, to let something fall, but a more commonly used thing is the se accidental. A mí se me cayeron los cuadernos. I dropped the notebooks. Or really, the notebooks kind of dropped themselves unto me, to me. Or el médico dejó caer la aspirina. The doctor dropped the aspirin. Or al médico se le cayó la aspirina. To clarify or emphasize who the person involved in the action is, this construction commonly begins with the preposition a plus noun or a plus prepositional pronoun. Por ejemplo, al paciente se le perdió la receta. The patient lost his prescription. Or a ustedes se les quedaron los libros en casa. Y'all left the books at home.